first guy that came didn't give a signal that he inspected everything. At the front, there's a long line, 60 cars. The guys are signaling him, hey, what's happening, They would come and help him. But he didn't give them any signal. And he demands the $40,000 zloty, Polish currency. Well, I tell the women, which I never knew personally or otherwise, what do you have of value? Everything has value. You have a pound of butter, because I told him to take some food. Yeah, some had butter, put it here on the floor, and the price was given. You have some sausage hanging underneath, under your clothes. Yeah, there is some sausage. Put that on. You have a watch or a ring. Put it all down. And everything that all of us 17 had that had any marketable value or otherwise was put in, and they were adding, and it was not enough.
And the soldiers sitting there adding.
And there was still not enough,
Was it one soldier?
One soldier. And because it was so far from the next one, and there was a bend, the others didn't see what he was doing, you see, because at night, so long. And I could see the sparkle in his eyes. He says, he can take us all, arrest us. But he has to share what's here with the other guys that are guarding the train, And probably there were 6 of them. Or take what you can and say everything is fine. And that was in his eyes. You sensed that, And in the last moment, he grabbed the blanket, put it on this gravel next to the train, and with one hand swept everything into the blanket and give a signal that everything is fine.
Just so he could take it all for himself.
All by himself. He probably put it in a bush. In the morning, he picked it up, this blanket with everything.
Incredible.
Last moment, a little greed, saved our lives. 17, 19 lives.
Absolutely amazing.
So the train rolls. Another problem. Since we lost so much time being inspected, and the station on Frankfurt on the Oder was having empty trucks, to let the train in, they just decided to open the signal all green. My plan was that I arrive at a signal red, we jump out, we walk. We don't go into the railroad station, there is a Russian guard. So here it is, I look on the side, and the signal is green, and the train doesn't even slow down. And I say, well, what do I know about Frankfurt on the Oder station? Where do I go? And how do I get out of it? And the train ran right into the station. It must have been about midnight. And I look left and right, and there's always a bend that the trucks are not all straight, they all come from one or another source. On one side, there was many trains. On the other side, fewer, maybe 2, but a lot of empty trucks and kind of a park or ditch. So I decided that that's our escape route. Now, get those women and children down on the ground. By the time I opened the door, the Russian guard that was all the time by hot oven, inside the building, start coming out to inspect the train. It took them about 5 minutes to get out, because they didn't expect anything. And we fast now move. And the women and the children under the axles, under the boxcars of other trains, stationary, crawled, and all, came to the site, and it was a site, kind of a park between railroad and street. So here is high, the railroad is high up. There is a nice park, and down is the street. So we all slide down the embankment towards the street. We think, heck, on the street we can manage better with children. Remember, as low as 5, of course. John was only 3 years old. John had to be carried. And we come to the street, and surprisingly, the streets are completely empty. Completely empty. There is not a soul on the street. So we try to figure out what happened. And very soon, 4 Russian soldiers are marching in the middle of the street, right in the middle of the roadway, with rifles, straightforward, towards us. I mean, passing us. So I figured that this is a curfew. There was no curfew before, 2 weeks before. Now there is a curfew. We couldn't go on the street. We would be shot right away, 17 people. So we had to go at the back of the apartments. There was apartments that the railroad builds for the workers. Usually alongside the railroad they will build buildings where they have cheap housing. And they have all little parcels, like about 12 feet and a fence, 12 feet and a fence. And we had to lift the children over the fence, walk 12 feet, and another fence, and another fence. Until by about 3, 4 o'clock, we got to the end. There was a place where I knew how to hide, and we sneaked from one side, one building, another building. We got to the door, packed ourselves into the apartment, the German apartment, and I knock on the door. Nobody answers. That's my place. I have the whole staircase full of people. And eventually a woman answers, and I identify myself. She opens the door, and she says, "I thought you were Russians." I said, "Why?" They were not so afraid of Russians before, I said, "Well, because they were here yesterday, and they killed our grandfather." That's where we found out what was that train in Poznan that cut us off, the Russian soldiers and so on. That there was some kind of a riot and fight among the Russians, and then the Russians that suppressed the rebellion or something went from door to door to find the other Russians that they wanted to take to Siberia. So we got here, and there is, in Europe, there are no funeral houses. The dead grandfather was there in the bedroom to be buried next day. And we had to go into the same bedroom kitchen, 17 people in small apartments, not bigger probably than yours, on the floor. They give us what they had, some food, and in the morning they first went for tickets to get us out, because one more day somebody would say something, and it would be the end of them and us. So we got the ticket, the permission to travel, changed to an extent our appearance, and improved our appearance a little, and went to the station. No suitcases, no briefcases, nothing, you know. And the tickets were to Hammer on the border of British zone of Germany. And we went on the train. The trouble was, at that time, naturally Germany losing the war, they hated Poles. Poles hated German for the concentration camp, so there was no kissing brothers, you know, between Poland and Germany 1 year after the war. We all hated each other. If a German would find out that this is 17 Poles escaping, he would tell the Russians, pick them up, you know, and turn his back. So we had to take the children, and worse was with John. He was so thirsty, 3 years old, the youngest. And mother had to take him, to talk to him. She had to take him to a bathroom because he didn't speak any other language, Polish. Yeah, and she couldn't allow him to speak Polish. So she told him in Polish in the bathroom, when you want something, pinch me, and we will go to the bathroom, you tell me what it is. He did. He kept his mouth shut like you would put iron. He had enough scare already, you know, in Poland 3 years under communist and so